Before my TV needed to stop selling my information slider hidden off in the settings for me to dig around and find out, new tech was kind of cool. Weird older brother PCs, the Betty Crocker bacon fill commercials, TV fuzz where if you swiped your hand and then put it on the metal dish connector, it would shock you a little. This is all in hindsight, of course, though. I was born in the year 2000, and so finding out that all the futuristic jets and stuff was kind of bullshit, it was a pretty tough blow, but yeah, PS2 made up for it. There was something kind of peaceful about growing up and being told that I was a missed wall cum shot that just kind of congealed over time and grew backwards thumbs, and that's why I'm so dog shit at SOCOM 3 and whatever, this bit's stupid. It was different, and it's something I kind of miss compared to today's consoles with very marginal upgrades. Yes, the PS2 was fucking sick, but I don't give a shit to talk about that right now, so here's the PS1. Arguably a more impressive jump from its predecessor, considering it was absolutely nothing because Nintendo is hilarious. Context for anyone born out there with a fetish for feet or pulling crap out of Elsa's teeth thanks to Flashwave Games and YouTube Kids. The 5th generation of consoles was the first time that people kind of shifted from, wow, that's a cute little character, I'm having a boatload of fun, to there's a fucking guy in my TV. Now we have ray tracing, ambient occlusion, horse nuts that shrink in the snow, and all these other wonderful gifts granted to us by the Xbox 720. But it's failed to recapture that same magic that we had back then. It's like nailing a hammer through your you-know-what. A really fun first time, and then just kind of gets numbed after the fact. The only real competitor for something like this would have to be VR, I guess. And if you've been harassed within the past 48 hours in VR chat, that's evidence enough to know that I'm an enthusiastic believer in the man-made horrors beyond my comprehension that Mark Zuckerberg has been bankrolling for the past 6 years. It's seeing hurdles, though, like developers not knowing which wiggle controls work better with waggle controls, or budget constraints. It's still kind of hard to sell dork goggles as a thing that's going to stick around, or it's just another fucking rhythm game that's kind of caused this medium to flatline out a bit. It's cold but not out. Necrophiles, bro fist your monitor. So starting with this massive breakthrough and then just kind of pissing around for nearly 30 years. You're almost 40, by the way. With all similar attempts to make another breakthrough getting stonewalled immediately, it's now in this long-winded intro that I kind of get closer to the topic I actually wanted to cover. At some point, this feeling of stagnation and nostalgia kicked in along with the Tylenol 3. You're old. And a commune of indie developers began making games that took on the style of PS1 titles. Jittering lines and dumpy face scans onto low-poly models. We are hitting all the feels. Death encroaches softly. But there's one title I think that hits the G spot, that stands for gamer spot, and nails a lot of things that indie devs strive for when learning the trade from a 14-hour how-to playlist on Unity. After tipping my landlord, I found a good home for the spare change and unspecified yellow bacteria living in my Ridge wallet. It was another one of these retro throwbacks, and it's called Fatum Betula. It's a first-person exploration game with branching narratives and consequences. The P outside the sex offender registry is well enforced, I'm disappointed to note, but this game turned out to surprise me a bit. The setup is you've woken in a chapel, walking up some stairs, you're mean-mugged by a massive eye. All pleas for Spider-Man to die going on deaf eye. It speaks to you about re-influencing the world, which is personified as a tree in the sky's fountain. Big shoes to fill for a religious narcoleptic, but how can I turn someone down who notices all 32 of my beautiful subscribers? Sure, I'll take on Influencer. And with 3 vials, no further elaboration, and a total reasonable fear of the dark, monsters live there, you journey on to unknown land. Try not to fuck it up, champ. Not a lot to run with, but that's what I watched the Paralympics for. Fatum Betula's world takes a lot of visual inspiration from LSD Dream Emulator. Real colorful, but with a sense that it's not necessarily welcoming to the pinhead race, such as you or me. With your vials, you can go around the world and solve these sequence puzzles to gather different liquids to dump into the fountain. I assumed my oil waste wasn't welcome, but taking a second to hang out with this cat in the main area for a bit and getting him some food has pleasantly surprised me. It didn't work out, go figure. Jamie, pull up that Luca Magnotta clip. These are some of the easier endings to achieve along with the bone ending. There's bone ending, by the way. But there are much longer ones you can come to find if you're not wanting to immerse yourself as a maliciously compliant shit who's just trying to get the errand over with. If that's your strat, though, just saying fuck this and spitting into the fountain for the elusive spit ending isn't looked down on in this channel. If you were interested in some of these other endings, one that was pretty cool has it where you visit this abandoned house in the woods and find this immortal that's nearly decomposed. Switching name tags quickly here to nurse, since I'm taking hand in assisted suicide now, put it on the Steam page. You're out to try and find a certain kind of fish that will kill him finally, leading to when you do, you can visit this other creep locked away in a library with the remains of the immortal, and he'll help cook up some chili pea. Mostly for himself, he kinda ditches you after that and leaves the pot. But hey, who am I or an entire planet I've been given total overwatch for to snub at evil wizard walk? In the tree goes. So far, this has been a mellow ride, save for a ghost and animal abuse. But duality is nature, my sweet 4-year-old doom scrolling on an iPad. One of the biggest things I think I have trouble dealing with when making videos over something niche is taking away the charm of coming across weird schizo shit on your own. That or I end up overhyping the damn thing, and whatever pros might have been there become ultimately dulled. I'm caught in a requiem for a dream ending balancing act with my audience. For the time, though, I think I've managed to keep my mouth shut enough for once to show off the appeal of without ruining the experience. This is, of course, without accounting for if you live in a region being surveyed by BlackRock. Aside from my 39% share in the company, this is completely out of my hands. If you sat idle this far and think you might have any interest in this is where I'd tell you to just go ahead and buy it. It's dirt cheap, available on most platforms, and it helps out the indie developer behind this get through their bout with rehab. If you've already gone through it, though, or just want to see these personal highlights of mine that I've found teetered a little too much into spoiler territory, then keep watching. Child, leash, backpack off. I'm free to ramble and borderline sexually harass Markiplier. From the start, everything feels alien. You're under the impression you're not really supposed to be here, and you should watch how far you wander. Understandably, though, if human nature is anything to go from, curiosity will always trump common sense. What do you mean the diver telling me his love of the sea and this oil I have stashed in my pocket weren't going to lead to any resemblance of a good outcome? Anyways, BP oil spill joke, time for another bad decision and a quick 20-minute adventure under the sea with the new mess I've made. Things aren't looking great, but I still contest the diver as a massive baby and isn't looking at the bright side. Like how now that the sea kelp has died off, I can jump through this neat gorge further down to the bottom of the sea. Pay for my insulin I do, Martin Shkreli. Because where the fuck did I drop to? You end up in this neighborhood with the same house looping over and over. There's only one entrance, but since the houses repeat, you get multiple chances to B&E the place. Wrong call again, tragically. In this house, it seems to reflect on the character and you in general, sort of. Primarily, I want to draw away attention from myself for a change and focus on the TV in the living room. It's one of the eerieest interactions you can come across. Turning it on shows a black and white photo of a human torso on stage with their arms stuck in a wall and bits of text you can scroll through with a canned laugh track in the background posing them as jokes. They're short sentences reflecting very nihilistic and personal views with no punchline. George Carlin is either rolling in his grave or the Democratic Party have made good on their threats he'd be back. Stimuli fix and a little bit of a headache acquired. The only other thing to interact with in this house is this faceless woman calling herself your mom. Evidence for deception clear, your mom wouldn't fit on the screen. She tells us, Father doesn't like you lingering in front of that TV, and don't forget to water that plant in your room.
I'm working on it!
Walking up the stairs and heading down the hallway to your room just spits you back out to the main area. I have no inclination to listen to reason on this run or my doctor's medical action plan, so outside we go. This area does hold something more substantial than just a spooky outskirts vibe. If you continue down the road for like 5 minutes, you find a method to another ending housed in what I can only gather is a goon pod a researcher kept themselves in. Letters, emails, and other things that would set me on the next Clinton special retreat reveal this guy wasn't able to breathe the air around here and something broke in, causing him a 10 KD. Pathetic. Soup was on the stove, though, so, tree. There's something to be said about finding arguably the best ending in a shithole like this. Not from me, though. One of the perks of being held back to Super Senior. There's another fun hidden ending that I'd encourage you to check out post-Rampage that involves the developer actually working on the game. And there it is. An indie game off the eShop deals page that wasn't entirely shit. onto the other 1,120 titles.